vector file. Okay, vector is the standard format that operates inside the cutting software, Cutting Master 3. So we have to get it to this point to take it in there. Cutting Master 3 is found under the File menu. Now, it's Illustrator is how we set up the artwork. Cutting Master 3 is how we cut the artwork. So here it is under File, Cutting Master 3, it's version 3. So we send it, and it actually opens a third-party software. Okay. Now you'll notice there's several copies. I do want to introduce you to some of these menus. The first menu is the general layout. Second button controls the amount of weeding, meaning the waste pieces that you want to take out. Third is tiling, if you want to divide it up, and it actually gives you some dimensions and some layout function, where to start. The fourth button is creating multiples. Okay, so you'll notice it's a 6x6 sticker. It does have a border, and the place where you're going to check is the second button over, shows the weed border. If I turn that off, it will take that border off. Okay, I like to have the weed border, and I usually use about 1/8 of an inch, 1.25 between images. Okay, and the next menu actually opens up the cut job window. If you had multiple colors that you wanted to cut in position, you check that one, and then you have some pressure and some other things in place to lay out and adjust pressures, conditions, blade angles, and things like that. This is where you adjust those dimensions, those cut forces, and how fast you want it to cut. You don't want to necessarily get it hyper fast, because it'll actually shake the machine and knock something loose. So these are the standard settings. Offset is 0 angle. Speed is 15 centimeters per second. Acceleration is 1. That's how fast the blade takes off once it's cutting. And then cut force, it's about 50% of its max capacity at 20. Okay. So now that it's laid out, you could, let's say if you were going to make a dozen of these, you could increase the number of rows. I'm going to hit 6, and you can see, you do the math, you just multiply those out, and they will cut as individual stickers, left, right, up and down, and get you what you need. Okay, so right now it's 6 by 6 inches. You'll get 2 on the width, and from the layout menu, I generally prefer to have the machine automatically sense the width, because then you get your maximum vinyl yield. Right, so 13.78. It's a little over 13 3/4 inch, but depending on where the rollers fall and for your job, you're going to get as many as you need to. So I always, whenever pricing this for students, I tell them if they've got any extra projects outside the assignments, I just build them at 1 square foot. Right, the material itself is 15 inches across, but usable vinyl, after the roller space is accounted for and after padding for each individual sticker, I mean, it's safe to give them the 3 inches of work area to play with their image. Okay. From there, once all your settings are locked and loaded, you do have the ability to scale it larger or smaller. And again, here's another proportional to constrain the vertical, the length and the width. You also can rotate this depending on if you have a tall or wider image, again, to maximize vinyl yield. If you happen to be setting up artwork that's going to be heat pressed onto t-shirts, the only consideration that you'll have to change will be you'll want to mirror the image. So you'll notice this C reads correctly. If you're going to put it on a t-shirt, because it has to be cut out backwards, heat pressed onto something else, and then peeled off, you're actually reading it through the back. You'll want to make sure that you adjust that to wrong reading when it cuts it out, okay? We'll do another assignment where you actually set that up purposefully backwards. So double check that. Vinyl stickers that stick to walls, windows, cars, you want that right reading. So the C reads, or the word, if it's your name, you want to be able to read it correctly if it's going to stick to the outside of something. If you're sticking it to the inside of something or to a t-shirt or some kind of apparel, you want it wrong reading, okay? 90% of the time you're going to be just using standard right reading directions, okay? Those are going to be the main controls that you're going to set up. When you're ready, you just click send. It's going to process, make sure that you have your media loaded, and when that media is adjusted, you'll get the option to click start cutting, okay? So from that point, you should be able to walk through and get your artwork set up and ready to roll. The project should be and will be, I need you to set up 3 different stickers that you will trace, one color, get to this point, test it out, and what you're going to do is you're going to use Photo Booth to take photos of them and submit those for your assignment. That way I know that they're cut and they're done. All right? If you have any questions, send it to me in Canvas, and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys.